Alright, this is Andrew with Joda Home Inspections. We're here in Salt Lake at 339 East, 1700 South doing a sewer scope. Today is November 3rd, 2023, and we have the camera pushed out 133 feet to the city connection. Now we're going to pull it back and record it and see what we find. So the first connection point is called the nose on. This is where it goes from the lateral line into the main city line. Looks like that's the edge of the liner from what I can tell. A little bit rough looking on that where it was cut, but looks like there wasn't any buildup or any huge lips for waste to get caught. This is a liner, and so instead of digging up the line to replace it, they blew a liner through the center of it, which hardens, and it's like having a new pipe. In a lot of cases, liners are great options, but if you look at that writing on the inside of the pipe, that's how we know this is a liner. Little tiny ripple here and there, but it looks pretty good so far. You don't want to have any bad ripples that could, anything big enough that could catch debris on it. But so far, it's looking good. So far no standing water, but we are going to find one spot closer to the house that did have some standing water, and that indicates improper grade for that, at least for that area. You always want to have proper grade where everything drains on its own with gravity. I'm accessing this line through the roof stack. Something a little unique about this house is that it has a sewage ejection pump, or a sewage ejector pump, as they're sometimes called. The difference with this house is that instead of the sewer line going underneath the entire house, under the basement slab, and then out to the city line, it goes underneath the main living space, the main floor, and then it goes out, and everything in the basement goes into a pump that gets ground up and lifted into this line, and then it can go out with gravity. So you do have one extra system that some houses don't have. Expected life of an injection pump is 8 years or so. Well, it looks like you have a little bit of an offset here where the pipes have moved a little bit to create that lip. That's a spot where waste could collect and create a blockage, which could lead to a backup. The only way to fix an offset like that would be to dig it up and repair it. 46 feet out. Makes me curious if this is a shared line. I believe this line goes out the west side of the house and then towards the street, which would mean that that line is coming from the direction of the neighbor's house. One downside with having a shared line is that some companies will not offer insurance on those lines. I do recommend having insurance on this age of a house, even with a liner. It's not a bad idea. Right here you can see that there's a little bit of a belly or a flat spot where it's holding water and waste. You can see that waste swirling around. When I pushed my camera through, I had to push through a couple wet wipes that were stuck in the line. We'll know in a minute whether I got them all, but sometimes they'll get stuck like they had already done here, and that can create a blockage. Sometimes they're real loose, and with enough time, water can flush them through, or even something as small as my camera head can push it along and give it that extra boost. But what you don't want is for it to get caught. There's another low spot. What you don't want is it to get caught and then create a blockage where it then backs up into the house. This is looking like cast iron from what I can tell. Cast iron can get real rough and rusty. It doesn't look like you have a ton of it, but definitely some. Eventually cast iron will need to be replaced. There's no way to know what's ran in the yard here that they've blown the liner through, but sometimes they'll line cast iron since it's reached the end of its life and gotten too rough and too thin. In either case, it's great that you have a liner, but you do still have some cast iron here. A couple flat spots where it was holding some water and a little bit of waste. One offset where the pipes have moved a little bit. And then the last item is that it looks like you might have a shared line with the neighbor. I'm not positive, but that's what it was looking like. Something you could consult with the city about. They oftentimes have a diagram they can share that shows your line, roughly where it's at, and if it's tied in with a neighbor. I'm going to end this recording now.